I'm DK.
I'm Toby.
And today we're going to be looking at Tome of Heroes by Kobold Press, where tangents are encouraged.
That cover, by the way, when you're holding it up, looked awesome. Like, look at that. That's so good.
Yeah. Okay. So, a thing about Kobold Press. So let me get into this a little bit. So, Kobold Press, if you don't know, is a 5th edition third-party publisher. They are, I don't want to say for sure, but I could guess that they are probably the biggest 5th edition third-party publisher. They have at least 1 or 2 books a year. Always high quality. They've been doing them on Kickstarter now for at least the last couple of years, where they'll run a campaign, basically to see how many people want. But usually the books end up on shelves.
Mm-hmm.
These covers here are their limited edition variants, so it's very similar to WotC's, special covers where they're soft touch. They have all that art on it, where it's not just, the logos and all that nonsense. I like theirs because they all come the same, whereas WotC's are variations. I love WotC's special edition covers, don't get me wrong, but these are just nice and simple.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got this little etching in here. It's shiny. They all kind of look like this.
And it's hard to tell, but it is actually like the etching's actually inlaid. It's not.
Yep.
It's not just a
it's
print.
It's a metallic. Yeah, it's a metallic inlay etched into the surface of the leatherette here. The back just has nothing on it. I kind of like that. It's a real simple book.
And I'm sure their normal one has like on the back. It's normally like a picture and then a description of the book itself.
I think the art is in here. So just take a moment. That's actually the art. So this is the art for the actual original cover.
Okay.
It's here. So that's the cover. So Kobold Press makes the book. It's 5th edition, something like this. You want to ask your DM before you pull out of the table if you're the DM. This is a book that you get if you want extra player options.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's about 10 races in here. There's got to be 50 total subclasses or something like that. Some extra rules for feats and spells, downtime. This is, Xanathar's or a Tasha's type of book.
A full. It's kind of like an expansion. It's not a module. It's an expansion.
Correct. So just looking at here, Chapter 1 is going to have races. Chapter 2 is class options. 3 is background and feats. 4 is going to be adventuring gear. 5 is going to be adventuring rules. So these are going to be your downtime type of deal. And then 6 is going to be magic and spells. And then there's also some magic items in here.
Which, speaking of downtime, I feel like the standard books don't have enough things for players to do when they're just hanging out waiting for something to happen.
Xanathar's has some decent rules. They're not bad. It's hard to implement, I think, downtime into campaigns for a lot of people, because things like the downtime, they take up a lot of time. So it kind of depends on the DM, and it kind of depends on the player. And I think a lot of players don't think of that part of the game. Like, a lot of 5th edition is go do the thing. Okay, so I'll take Critical Role, for example. The second season and the third season campaign of Critical Role, I feel like are a lot of personal backstories, which is cool, but also go and do the like hero thing, or whatever. Whereas in the first one, I felt like there was a lot. I'm not that far into it, honestly, but at least in the beginning of the campaign, there was a lot of wanting to do background things. Getting armor for Trinket, their pet bear, or Taliesin did a lot of trinketing and like building things, and the really like nuanced stuff where it's kind of in the background. What's the name? Tiberius was like making small like spells and enchantments and things like that.
Yep.
So this book can help with that. So I'll dive in here a little bit. As far as the book layout, it's laid out pretty simply. So we're looking at, table of contents, and then it tells you how to use the book, and then it lists all the playtesters. So if you get into one of these Kickstarters and you do some of the playtesting, they'll actually list your name, your whole group in here.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, just to say that you...
The
you
player names or the character names?
It's whatever you want to list. So a lot of the people just put their DM's name, and then it's like colon all the players, and the players have their full real names in here. It's really up to you.
I feel like if it were me and I got lucky enough to do it, I'd be like Toby, and then in parentheses the character name.
Yeah, I think you can do that. I mean, right here they list their robotic dog Dumpster. So, like, they're listing character names for some of the groups.
Dumpster.
It's just up to...
What a good robotic dog name, Dumpster.
It's up to the group to decide how they credit their names. Yeah, so we're looking at different kinds of races here. Catfolk instead of Tabaxi. Tabaxi's a copyright, so they can't do that.
Wasn't its hands backwards?
No.
I thought that was a...
Rock Sasha?
Yeah.
No. It's just Catfolk. So a Catfolk for a little bit of a different idea if you want something that's not the Tabaxi. Darakul, which is their undead ghoul people that actually are not just your standard ravaging ghouls.
Intelligent, basically.
Yeah, essentially. But they do go into different, they have variations of the drow, variations of the dwarf, elf, they have hedgehog people, Gearforged, which is like a Warforged. So in my world, Warforged are more like battle droids.
Yep.
In IG assassin droids. Whereas the Gearforged are more like C-3PO or R2-D2. Fresh cut grass, if you will. Variations in just like a lot of those standard races, and then they've added some in. So just a couple that I mentioned. Minotaur, kind of variation on them. Mushroom folk, mushroom people. Those have been kind of hot lately.
What is that?
A new planar species. So they are very... let's see if I can get a nice picture up there. These guys here. They're kind of like these weird fish, aquatic, like interplanar beings.
I don't like it.
I do like it. This is what I want. I want some really like...
As a character in the world,
for sure.
I don't like it.
I'm definitely adding them to canon in my world.
Oh, for sure.
Just because, well, my world is a little sci-fi-ish, but so they definitely bring some of that. I really like that.
I don't know, if that thing walked up to my group with a floating skull with glowing eyes, just kind of doing like an evil grin... Nah, I'll think I'll ask questions later on that one.
It's nice to get something that's different, that's not just variations. They have a lot of variations. The Minotaur and the Catfolk, they've been done before, It's nice to get something that's like completely original, that hasn't been done.
So, I'm seeing we're in Chapter 2 of the class options.
Yep.
Are there... Obviously, there's subclasses.
Yep.
Are there new classes as well?
They do not have any new classes. So, yeah, the class game is really hard to break into, I think.
Because everything that's there kind of encompasses everything right now.
Yeah, I think MCDM, they're going to have 3 classes now. They're making their Scion is coming out soon. I think they've done a great job with additional classes. The Illrigger is pretty niche in terms of what you want to be. It's a knight from hell, but you can already do that with the Paladin. And then their other thing is the Beast Heart, which is a Beast Master, but its own class, essentially.
Yeah. Again, there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah, I think... I don't want to butcher his name. Benjamin Huffman, I'm pretty sure, is the guy that I'm thinking of on DM's Guild. His classes, I think, are probably... Get at me in the comments. Some of the best... third-party options as far as class, just because they're so, I don't want to say unique, but I guess they're different. So the Pugilist is like basically a monk, but not a monk with all like the wording, basically. More like a street brawler. So that's really similar, but then he also has things like a Scholar, which is like a wizard but no magic. So I think just the class game is hard to get into, but they do have a lot of class options and things I've been thinking about building myself. They've basically just done for me, so kind of good, kind of not. 'Cause I've been wanting to work on my own kind of things, and I probably still will, but they've hit some things that you think should be there. For instance, a Path of the Dragon Barbarian.
Okay. Yep.
Why haven't we had this before? You know, where you rage and then you kind of go draconic. Like.
Look, you're gonna get giants, and you're gonna like it. All right.
I'm not against the giant barbarian. That's a fantastic idea as well. But yeah, I just think that they've.
What is that? That one.
Oh, that's Path of the Inner Eye. So I think it's more like a quick. It's like a quicker type of build. It's gonna go almost not finesse, but almost in that nature. But for barbarian, they're looking into the future a little bit, so they're gonna have like abilities that allow you to kind of jump ahead. I think one of their big abilities. I think this is the creature I'm thinking of, or not the creature. Wow, the subclass I'm thinking of, where it gives you 2 reactions at some point. Maybe that's not the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, it is. Okay, so you get extra reaction while you're raging. And you can enter your rage as a reaction. So, just because you can see the future or whatever, so you're moving a little bit quicker than
That's
normal.
kind of cool. So it does split it up by class. Nice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty standard in the way of like Xanathar's, where it's like going through each of the different things. So College of Shadows, you know, you're building onto that shadow kind of thing. College of Investigation, so you're going to be more into your skills and being able to read people and things like that. College of Tactics, so this is kind of going towards the Warlord, if you know the Warlord class from 4th edition. Yeah, so you're like moving people around the battlefield. This is kind of following in that same footsteps where like you're the tactician for your group, so your bardic thing is kind of, you're not really singing or doing music. It's more like
kind of like a bard battlemaster type thing going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's more your like bravado on the battlefield that's helping your group do what they need to do.
That cleric has a musket.
Yes, black powder domain. So in this book, they introduce black powder, and they go into like the weapons and things like that.
Oh, I can't remember if it's a game or a movie where the religion is worshipping black powder. I'm not talking The Mandalorian. There's like an older game that's like that, but that's cool that they brought that in.
Yeah. I don't really know what religion has that, but maybe like a god of technology or something like that has the black powder as one of their domains. So they added more domains. You know, there's a few domains that I think should have been like Hunt domain. That's a nice one to have. Mercy domain, just like domains that they haven't hit on before in like 5th edition. Portal domain, so you get to like do a lot of portal magic. Serpent domain, which is definitely something that I think was missed or should have been added later on. Is the worship of snakes goes back in real mythology.
Oh yeah,
forever.
For sure.
So the fact that we don't have that. Shadow domain, another one that I think should have been pretty far up there, or like a darkness domain. We haven't really had anything like that. There's the Twilight, I know, but that's more with like with Twilight, the moon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Wind domain. So back in 3rd edition, there was a domain or a portfolio for each of the elements.
Okay.
And we haven't really had that either. So they added a bunch of those. You're getting your druid circles. I'm just going to keep going through some of these because not all of them are quite that interesting. But yeah, Circle of Sand is pretty cool. I think the desert doesn't get enough love in a lot of the nature aspects of
for sure. And I could see them working with probably a djinn or something like that too.
Yeah. So Circle of the Shapeless. This one I do want to hit on. So a druid that believes in the nature of slimes and oozes. Yeah. So you can become ooze form instead of your animal form. just kind of that acid, poison kind of deal. So moving on to fighter. So you get a bunch of fighting styles, of course. I guess not a bunch. Gunfighting. So you can choose that instead of one of your standards. You're getting your buccaneer, so a gunfighter.
Interesting. I was expecting buccaneer to be under rogue.
I think there's one not a buccaneer, but
those are the swashbuckler and
there is a swashbuckler, yeah. Which, yeah. So this is basically just the fighter gunpowder version of that. So the pugilist they put under a fighter. So I just mentioned the pugilist being its own class, but here they just put it under fighter. Moving on to the monastic traditions, geez. Way of the Dragon. So I'm sure this was already in the process of being written by the time Fizzbands was being written at the same time. So the fact that we have 2 dragon type monks, you have to go and figure out which one's better. The Way of the Dragon here seems like it's pretty decent though.
Yeah, the one in Fizzbands it's not bad.
Yeah,
it's not something.
I haven't heard anyone trying to play it really. So
yeah, exactly. If players aren't biting at it, it's probably, at least the way it's written, not the most engaging.
Yeah.
Way of the Wildcat, interesting.
Yeah, so you were building on the martial arts styles that are based on cats. So that's kind of what this is going into. Acrobatics and being really nimble and things like that, having quick reflexes, like a cat. The paladin, sacred oaths, so you're going to be able to use gunfighting as well with them. I think Midgard has a lot of like clockwork type situations in technology.
I just like the cleric of the gunpowder domain, and then the paladin. All I can do is picture the sniper from Saving Private Ryan, where he's always like blessing his shots before he's taking out people.
There you go. There you go. So Oath of the Elements, something pretty cool. So I think we kind of have a nature oath with the Oath of the Ancients. Is that what I'm thinking of? Where it's kind of like Fey related. This is going to go into your actual nature element related.
Oath of the Ancients I like that one.
Yeah.
It's one of the good ones.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. This just goes the other way with like nature. That one's more like the Fey and that kind of sense. This is actually like the primordial elements.
Gotcha.
Oath of the Hearth, so being about peace and home.
If they don't get a Hearthstone, I'm going to be upset.
The Ranger archetype.
Hearthstone? My bad.
So there's a beast trainer, so their stab at trying to make a better Beastmaster. Everyone's taking a stab at this. I read over it a little bit. It seems pretty close to the same, but there's a lot better like additional abilities that come along.
Okay, the one thing, to go off on a tangent, the one thing I hate in 5th edition where you get a dedicated minion is you have to use your bonus action to tell it what to do.
I don't think that's that bad though.
It's stupid. Like if you have
for class balancing though? For
an extra 2d6 ain't going to make that much of a difference. Like even if it is doing that much.
But what else would you do with your bonus action?
I don't know, maybe Hunter's Mark?
But I already did it.
Okay, there's plenty of like there's.
If you're a ranger, what else?
You can do the one where you're getting fire arrows. You can do spike growth and action. That's what I'm saying. There's not enough bonus action things to where they go, you know what? Let's just make all minions. You have to tell them what to do. Like for example, the Drake Warden Ranger, you have a dragon pet. You don't need to tell it to attack every turn. Just be like, all right.
They need that balance in them.
It's stupid. In my campaign, the Drake Warden's pet, I have them control their Drake Warden directly after their turn, whatever the fuck they want it to do. Like it's.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't.
It's a dragon.
Yeah, I don't really worry about balance that much, unless it seems like somehow they're doing a crazy amount of damage, but. Yeah.
Because like
either way.
if that thing dies, like your companions are weak. Like they're not strong.
Yeah, that's true.
If they die, it's stupid easy to have them like one fireball. Guess what? Your minion is
most of
dead.
Yeah.
It's not death saving throws. It's dead.
You got to take time to resummon it and everything.
Oh, yeah, even if you can, but like that's another thing that I do for say like they get an animal companion. It's not something you summon. It's an animal that you go find. Now that's permanently there, so you train it to do these things in reaction to like if you're getting attacked, it'll go after it. Minor interruption, but we're back at it.
All right, so as far as these classes, I'm just going to hit on a couple more. You could spend all day talking about all these classes. The Gunslinger class, subclass, they've actually put under Ranger.
Okay.
I don't know how I feel about it. It's not bad, and it definitely has like a lot of the trick shots and stuff. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Moving on. I think some of the cool things that they did with the classes, like I said, I'm not going to stop class by class. There's a ton of different classes in here. All different kinds of variations of the classes and different subclasses that you think should have been made. It's probably somewhere in this book. The Cat Burglar for a rogue.
That's just a thief?
Yeah, I think it's like a variation to the standard thief. I think they've made improvements on some of the things just because the thief is like from 2014 basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just to update.
How long has 5th edition been out? Has it been that long?
2014 I think is when they released D&D Next, which was like their playtest for 5th edition.
Jesus.
And then 2016 is like when it was like really like out in the open. Is like when it was really.
That's crazy.
Like getting going. So Sorcerer's Origins, I want to stop at Sorcerer's Origins. So they come up with a bunch of meta magic features. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 different new meta magic options to choose from. Those are pretty cool. You can be a black powder sorcery, however that works.
Wait, go back. That's how it works.
Yeah.
You are a machine gun sorcerer.
Yeah, so he's got, I don't know, 5 guns there, all magically being used and activated.
That's amazing. That's like Boondock Saints. Just keep running out of ammo. Don't worry about reloading. Just keep pulling out new ones.
I think my favorite class of all time, and I love teleportation. I shouldn't say of all time, but I love teleportation. So they created a sorcerer called the Rift Hopper. And one of its keystone abilities, right away at first level, is that you can teleport. And you can use your spell slots to teleport. So you just expend a spell slot and it allows you to teleport. Now, depending on what spell slot you use, it will tell you how far you can teleport. So a 2nd level spell slot just gives you a Misty Step of 30 feet. But 3rd goes to 60, and we're doubling every time. 4th is, 120. And then it ends at 7th level where you can teleport up to 960 feet away.
Okay. Which, isn't there better teleports at that point, though?
Yeah. Okay. Yes, but no. The sorcerer doesn't get all of like the teleport options that like a wizard or a cleric would.
Okay.
Or they'll have, or even a druid for that matter. I don't think they get teleportation circle.
Do they just get teleport though?
I think they do get teleport. Yeah. Anyway, so they got more like abilities that kind of branch off of the teleporting and being able to do it better. So the Wastelander as a sorcerer. So
I already know we're going to be running into this just from the name. Okay.
Yeah, something I was thinking about previous to them adding it. Another thing they added in was a bunch of Eldritch Invocations for your Warlock. Those are kind of options that I always like, is when they're stacking the meta magic options, these things where they can be easily expanded on. The fighting styles that came in Tasha's was something I really liked because it just opens the door that much wider.
Well, when I offered it to, I have a fighter in my group. When I offer, I'm like, hey, just so you know, there's these new fighting options if you want to, start changing them out, that type of thing. What I've seen from that and kind of reading them, it is nice having the options, but generally the players still tend to lean towards the base.
Yeah, I think the base ones are really good for
fighting.
Yeah, they're really I shouldn't say power gamey, but they usually add better statistics to your player. the ones in Tasha's I felt like were just nice to have if you wanted that flavor.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. They have great flavor. So one of the patrons I've been thinking about creating, I still might do it, I don't know, depending on how this all comes out, is Ancient Dragons. They haven't had a dragon patron for the Warlock, and I think that's something that I would have thought of right away.
It's in here, though?
Yes. Yep.
Perfect, because I have a Warlock in my campaign that is, I flavored the Celestial as a dragon.
Yeah, right here you got Ancient Dragons, it goes in.
Does it have healing?
Does it have healing? I don't think so.
Okay, then they might not want to change, because they're the only healer in the group.
Yeah, no, it's very much around dragons and the power of the dragon taking on the breath type. You know, the resistances and all that kind of stuff that usually comes with dragon type subclasses.
Interesting.
Animal lords, so Alenus Fenisphere, Lord of the Hare and the Rabbits, type of level of a Warlock patron. They list a couple of here that are in their Midgard campaign setting. That's the Kobold Press setting. But Animal Lords is for Warlocks is pretty nice. It's like kind of a cool call to have.
We also kind of knew the Animal Lords were coming too from the Tome of Beasts. There's the
they have the Animal Lords in there. Yep, definitely. Which I like is nice that they come out with the stat blocks for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The Fae as well. You haven't seen any named Fae, excluding now Wild Beyond the Witchlight.
Yeah.
In 5th edition. And Kobold Press has done it. I mean, if I had to say that if D&D did a 4th edition type situation where they broke off and made a game that not everyone really liked, or they go into 6th edition completely and change all the rules, which they haven't said they're going to do, I think Kobold Press could be the Pathfinder for people, where they take the rules of the OGL of 5th edition and they kind of modify it a little bit maybe to what they need for their game, but I think they have enough content now that they could
make their own.
Primordial Warlocks. I think the Warlocks really got me because they made Warlocks that I think that should have been there. The Primordial Warlocks. I just seen another one. I just passed it. The Old Wood. So like an old forest, Fangor forest or some shit like that.
I like it.
That gives you the power through that way, kind of like a druid. There's a wizard that's a familiar master, so it allows you to have a familiar, and I think you get more familiars as you get more powerful.
There's not enough good
summon
classes.
Yep, agreed. 100%.
Like Path of the Spores, their zombies suck.
Yeah,
they're garbage.
I think the Artificer is probably the best one I've seen so far. What is it? I can't even think of it. The one that gets the Steel Defender is pretty good because you can get the Steel Defender, you can get a Homunculus, and I think you can get one more just right off the bat. Plus, you could get like Find Familiar. You could make a nice little class, but
I just want a summon class that's like the OG Diablo 2 Necromancer, where you have 30 skeletons, 15...
You can get that with the Necromancer. It takes a lot of work, though, with the School of Necromancy.
I'm saying, it takes a lot of work where you have to, that is going to be part of your campaign, doing that type thing. Yeah. I'm saying,
you just summon.
You go onto a battlefield, and your party members start dropping people, and you're just like, you're a friend now, you're a friend now, you're a friend now, and... They don't have to be strong.
Yeah.
Maybe once you get a bunch of them up, you can have bonuses to increase, make them resistant to damages, so they last a little bit longer, that type of thing, or advantage on their undead fortitude, so there's a better chance of them just not going down type thing.
Yeah.
But they don't have to be crazy powerful. Just a lot of them, cannon fodder, a meat shield.
Yeah. They really haven't done summoning justice, but I think it's the action economy. They're really worried about battles being drawn out and stuff. That's why I kind of liked 3rd edition, where you could summon a lot of stuff. You could have multiple things. You could stack spells and kind of all that stuff. You could cast Mage Armor on yourself. You could cast Mage Armor on your familiar. You could cast Mage Armor on your summon creature. You can do all that kind of stuff.
Well, a good way to get around, for 5th edition, like you're saying, if you have 30 creatures, the combat will take forever. split them up into 3 different ones. This one, you do one roll, and if it hits, they all hit type thing. Or if an enemy's attacking them, like, they roll with advantage, and, you reduce it by that much if they get hit type thing. I think you even have the book with, like, siege rules and type thing, right? Where, like, it's armies fighting. You could do that, just scale it down.
Yep, from MCDM.
Yep.
So that was the classes, the subclasses. I think a lot of the subclasses in here hit upon a lot of the subclasses that I would have built, or I would think be pretty normal in 5th edition, but they haven't created.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice to see that those were in here. Less work for me, really. When I want one of those things, or a player says something, I want to protect the elements, or I want my patron to be a dragon for a warlock, or something like that. Now they just have those options, so it's pretty nice. Chapter 3 moves on to backgrounds and feats. It comes out with backgrounds, again, that you would think you would have saw in a WotC supplement, but you didn't get. So Court Servant, I'm just going to list a few. They're pretty standard on what you're going to think. You can always create your backgrounds from scratch, so they're just like nice templates to have. Destined, so you're some kind of destined type person. A diplomat, a forest dweller, a gamekeeper.
Yeah, there wasn't enough backgrounds.
Innkeeper, mercenary recruit, monstrous adoptee, so you're adopted by something.
Which that would kind of play
minstrel.
into the monstrous adoptee would kind of play into the Rime of the Frost Maiden secret of tiny. What's it? The secret's called like tiny, or the tiniest. What are the big abominable?
Oh, Yetis?
Yeah, the tiniest Yeti.
Yeah,
that's one of the things where you were raised by Yetis.
Exactly. So it's nice to have that. Occultists. I'm going to skip through most of these, but they're just nice to have. These variations of things. Usually when I'm making a background, the hardest part for me is coming up with a feature, because it's not supposed to be like truly mechanical in nature. It's supposed to be more like a flavor thing that comes up. You get free board and room if you play your instrument, or as an Outlander you can find food and water or whatever twice as fast or twice as much, or whatever the deal is. So that's usually where I get stumped on, is usually the feature. So it's nice to have more features to look at. They dove into feats, so the feats have a lot of prerequisites. Where it just needs you to have like proficiency in a type of skill, or a certain ability from a class. So just adding in more. Forest Denizen is giving you can discern if a plant or fungal growth is safe, speak, read, and write Sylvan, have advantage on strength and acrobatics to get out of vegetation or beasts grapple. So simple things like that are always nice to have for feats, just to expand your character and make it a little bit different. And then for the 4th chapter is adventuring gear. So this is where they kind of added in kind of a lot of things. They added in new weapons, including gunpowder. So you're getting, if you're into that kind of level of technology, I think guns have a certain place. Especially like flintlock type weapons are always nice, because it always feels weird when you're playing a D&D campaign and you're on boats doing piratey things, and sure, everyone's swinging their swords, but it's like, where's the cannons? And if they have cannons, why don't I have pistols?
Exactly.
So it's like you get into this like weird little territory. So I usually throw guns in. Flintlocks are usually fine. I mean, you can also just, if you don't want to break your game with mechanics and different damage rolls and damage types, you can just switch your crossbows to being firearms. Not a big deal. I think I'd rather be shot than have a bolt go through me.
It really depends.
True. But if you get in some of those,
broadheads and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the arrows that have like the hooks in them, I can't think of what I'm trying to think of. You got to push it all the way through. No, thanks.
Barbed?
Yes, barbed. Yes.
I actually just gave I couldn't find an item of it, but my Drake Warden Ranger just found, I think it was like 12 barbed. They're meant for fishing, but they were modified for capturing people.
Okay.
So they're modified arrows to be extremely lightweight but durable. So it's really bladed on one side, and it just comes back to a large hook on the other.
Yeah.
And it also has an eyelet on the back for. It has to be. You can do rope, but you'll get disadvantaged, all that stuff. But it's designed for braided frost spider web.
Okay.
So, like, you braid that, and it's super lightweight, doesn't affect it. You get still the full range, and now you can hook something and then start to pull it. And it can, the way I was having it is, like, if it's braided frost spider web, it can do, like, 5,000 pounds or something, some craziness like that.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't do that with a pistol.
No, you can't. But we were talking about the broadhead. So
yeah, no, for sure. No, for sure. But I'm saying that, there's a lot of people that say whatever about it, with guns and stuff, the damage types, but you can do things like that, and you can't do that with a gun.
I can show you some stuff.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay, all right. Armor. So they added in a couple pieces of armor here. I was kind of glad to see some of these pieces of armor. So, Brigandine. It's like a thick coat. If you don't know, it's a thick coat of like cloth panels with pieces of metal usually on the inside. If you see pictures, it's usually layered, and then it goes down. I've seen them be just just past waist length, but I've also seen them go like almost knee length. So this is a new light armor. It does have a higher armor class, I think, than anything. It's 13 plus, so I think that's higher than studded leather, which is at 12 plus. Your dex, so you get your full dex benefit. The part that has bad about it is it has disadvantage.
Did you know studded leather isn't actually a thing?
Studded leather isn't an actual thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, most leather armors like have studs in them anyway. Like, what do you mean?
So, having just... Okay.
The way the studded leather is supposed to work is not how it looks on the outside. So, like the Brigandine's description here, it's actually supposed to be... It just looks like that on the outside, but underneath is actually like a plate of metal.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of how the Brigandine is supposed to be, except for it's more like pockets on the inside of all the layers where they put in like these metal plates.
Yeah, it's meant the studs are to be holding plates. Yeah. And it's not just a little tiny thing of metal and then leather all around it, because that's kind of useless.
Yeah, it's dumb. Yeah, no.
You're just making a weak point now.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And then one other thing in their armor, they got like 3 kinds of armors here, but the other thing is the shields. So Manica, which I've never heard of, but it's essentially like a buckler. Or no, I'm thinking of buckler shield. I keep thinking of that. The Manica is the piece of armor that goes over your whole arm up and down. So it allows you to use that hand to do certain things, not use a weapon, because that would break the game. But it only gives you +1 to your armor class, so I'm not really seeing...
We're talking about armor right now. I think I've told you about my ultra heavy armor, the whole proficiency and everything like that. If I haven't, yes. we need to have a whole discussion about that. Okay.
We still can, but I believe you have. Tell me.
Yeah, we're cutting it close on time, so
yeah.
we won't go off in too much of a tangent.
Yeah, no. So anyway, they just come up with some weapons. There's a decent amount here, but a lot of them are just variations on already made weapons. So just adding finesse to some of the things. They don't really mess with the damage types. I think it's more just to give you those ideas for flavor. Grappling hooks. They don't really add... I mean, they added a lot of stuff, but a lot of it is like poisons and just variations of things that aren't already out. A lot of people like stuff to be in books for you to actually have it. I'm just going to jump here, because they go through a lot of descriptions on that stuff. The last part that I'll just mention here is the magic and the runes. So they've had these runes that you can inscribe on different things, changing damage types, and kind of working for spellcasting focuses and things like that, where you put it on your armor or whatever, and it gives you resistance to frost damage. Or
so kind
whatever.
of like an enchantment, but not?
I would say, yeah, it's a little bit easier to... I think it's just their variation, basically, of enchantments.
Okay.
With rules, of course. So they have the rules of how to implement the runes. But yeah, it allows you to do different things, gives you different spell abilities when you're using them. I won't go much else into it, I guess. Let me just see here. But, you know, they got a decent amount of spells. So most of their supplemental books, Kobold Press, like character options books, they like spells. I think we were just talking about the Vault of Magic. No, that's not what it is. What were we just talking about? They just made a magic book like 2 years ago.
Isn't it Vault of Magic items or something like that?
Well, there's the magic item ones. That's the Vault of Magic, yeah. But there's a different one we were just talking about before. They got a whole book that's just spells, basically.
Do they have Corpse Explosion?
No. But
good. That's my spell.
We will have to go into that sometime.
I love Corpse. Did I tell you they used it and literally genocided an entire goblin camp? It was great.
Yeah, so that's the book. If you're looking for a lot of class options, a lot of player options, this is going to be the book for you. The first 2 chapters are going to have your races and your classes. That's where you're going to find a lot of your variations. I think the subclasses is something in this book that there's a lot of that turned out really nice in this one. You know, like I said, they got spells and weapons in here too. Those are usually pretty niche for people to pick up on variations of. Most people just reskin those kind of things, but it's the subclasses that are usually it's I think the main thing. So in here, I'd have to say, like I said, there's 50 probably subclasses in here. Yeah. So I mean, if you like Tasha's, if you like Xanathar's, you're looking for, you know, another book like that, this is going to be the one for you. On today's date, which I'm going to admit is going to be the 9th, I'm admitting that. The 9th of July, I believe you can pre-order this book, but I just received it about 2 weeks ago through the Kickstarter. So,
okay,
and that was a while ago. So if you're looking for this book, it's going to be $59.99, I think, for this. Nope, it's $50 for the standard book. It's $69.99 for the special edition cover, if they have any left. Those are usually a limited run.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions?
No, I like almost all of it.
Yeah. Kobold Press usually comes up with some great stuff. I usually really enjoy their books.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I think that's going to call it for us then.
Yep.
Let us know how you felt about the book. If you have any other books that you think we should look at or review, or if you have a favorite book from Kobold Press that we didn't mention here that maybe we should check out, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a great game.
Have a good day.